It's early April 2024, and I'm visiting Lake Owyhee on the far east side of Oregon. This is high desert, but it's spring, there have been substantial recent rains, and the hillsides are green and the lake is full. There are relatively few trees here, but that allows a better view of the rugged rocks and cliffs of this stark but beautiful landscape. We're looking south here towards the dam that forms the lake. The river bends to the left here, and the dam is located a relatively short distance around the corner. Looking to the south, which is the downstream direction, the early morning sunlight warms the hills, and waves gently flow across the lake. With a little imagination, this rocky formation could be seen as a sea monster. There are two campgrounds in the park. This is a view of part of the McCormack Campground, which sits on a peninsula that juts out into the lake. In every direction, there are interesting rock formations to be seen around the lake shore. You enter the park from the north by driving down the Owyhee Lake Road, which takes you through a beautiful canyon with the road often right beside the river. In many cases, the road lies right underneath towering cliffs. I've never visited this area before, but it appeared to me that the river level was very high and that the river was flowing well beyond its usual banks. Another lovely view of the canyon and the springtime greenery. I found it to be really interesting that the road travels through a narrow, single-lane tunnel that's been bored through the rock along the river. As the road gets closer to the dam that forms Lake Owyhee, the road begins to ascend, rising above the river. To the right, you can see the dam spanning the canyon. At the base of the dam, it appears that a lot of water is being discharged quite forcefully. Looking a little further downstream, it appears that the force of the water has produced a fine mist that hangs in the air. Continuing along the road and going past the dam. The dam has an unusual spillover called the glory hole, used to drain off excess water. It's ahead on the right. It's a little hard to see here. A better view will be available in a minute. The glory hole is essentially a huge concrete pipe that allows water to drain from the surface of the lake. It's really quite impressive to see and hear a huge volume of water rushing into the glory hole. I think that once you've gone a short distance past the dam, you've entered the state park. But you do have to go a ways down the road before you get to the sign announcing that you've entered Lake Owyhee State Park. I'm approaching the access road leading to McCormack Campground. The campground offers great views of the lake and has 29 RV sites and 9 tent sites. I had a great campsite. It was less than 100 yards to the shore. It was a good location for filming many aspects of the lake. It was also a good spot to catch the fading light of sunset. After it got dark, there was no moon, and it was a great opportunity to get a time lapse of the wonderful display of stars in the high desert night sky. In the morning, I went for a walk through the campground down to the lakeshore. As I walk through the campground, I think you can see that most of the campsites are empty. There was one Class A RV in the host site, but it appeared nobody was there. So for my first night's stay at the campground, I basically had the place all to myself. I walked down to a boat ramp at the end of the campground. There are 2 other boat ramps in the park, and both of those have docks running beside the boat ramp. As that's much more convenient for launching a boat from a trailer, it seems those boat ramps are preferred by most people. But as we'll see in a moment, this location is a great place for launching a kayak. From the boat ramp and other nearby locations at the west end of the campground, I enjoyed many views of the beautiful shoreline of the lake. This is looking west, directly across the lake. Although it looks fairly close, it's actually about 3/4 of a mile across the lake here. I took my inflatable kayak down to the boat ramp and set out to get a little closer look at some of the features of the lake shore. It was a bright sunny afternoon with little or no wind, perfect for exploring the lake by kayak. Unfortunately, these huge rocks are backlit by the sun, so the camera doesn't really capture much of the detail, but I did get a really good look at the rocks. I then headed across the lake to get a look at some lighter colored rocks on the other side. It took a while to paddle across the lake, so I sped up things here so we could jump over the empty water. Arriving at the other side of the lake, I got a good look at the lighter colored rocks, but I could see there was no place to land the kayak, so I turned around and headed back for the boat ramp. I didn't ride my bike a lot at Lake Owyhee, but I did take a short ride in the area south of McCormack Campground. A short distance down the road, there's a pullout that makes a great viewpoint. Another stunning view of the lake in the bright, clear morning sunlight. The road ahead curves to the right. A short distance down the road, there's the entrance to the Spring Creek Campground, the second campground at Lake Owyhee. Immediately ahead on the left, there's a gravel road that heads down a lovely canyon. I didn't bike down the gravel road on this trip, but I did get an aerial view, and it is indeed a really interesting looking canyon. It seems like a good opportunity for a future visit. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.